Watch the rich.
Peter Thiel is the most well-known unknown in the dark enlightenment movement of the technocratic billionaires, who seem to me to perceive themselves as the rightful kings of our modern world. Peter has been working behind the scenes for many decades now, helping to bring on a new era of elite control, public surveillance, and Big Brother watching. I refuse to be a bootlicker, nor will I make a hit piece. This is my fourth attempt to make a video about Peter Thiel, because every time I think I have a perspective that I understand and want to share, my thoughts get thrown in a whirlwind. So much wasted disk space. I've written scripts, created voiceovers, found B-roll, and made timelines. But to me, Peter Thiel is a conundrum. He's a walking contradiction. He's brilliant, he's smart, and he's wrong about a great many things, in my opinion, but he's also right about a great many things. I find myself very upset about certain things he says and puts money towards and influences in the world, and at the same time, I find myself agreeing with many of his takes. I don't think people understand him, not that I do, but I think most of his haters see short clips and read hit pieces, headlines, and jump to conclusions. Something along the lines of the man running around warning about the Antichrist every chance he gets, doing sold-out private tours on the subject, is acting a lot like you might expect an Antichrist would. Peter is one of the strangest minds in Silicon Valley, and that is saying something. Part philosopher, part banker, part prophet of an apocalypse. But I can't seem to figure out where his motivations come from. There is no doubt that he knows how to manage money, grow wealth, advise companies, steering them to success, and has an amazing eye for what's about to come, the ability to say yes when others don't see the potential yet. He is of course lucky, there's always luck involved, but he is brilliant, no matter how you feel about him. A champion chess player, someone they call a contrarian, in my mind, because he can see multiple sides to any one subject, and yet he has picked his path. And though I don't subscribe to all that he says and pushes, he with all his money could go chill and travel and try to live forever without scrutiny, away from the public eye, but he chooses to fight and shake society for society's betterment, or maybe not.
If we say there was something about Christianity where this really came, and it was not in the Islamic world that you got the scientific revolution, for example, but something like the Christian anthropology. Girard was fond of always saying that people focus too much in the Bible on what it tells us about God. There must also be something it tells us about man. About man.
Yeah, okay.
And really big problem of violence and sacrifice, but it's told not from the point of view of the violent community. It's told from the point of view of the innocent victim. And there's a certain way where it sets in process this dynamic revelation that leads to this sort of gradual unraveling. And as you stop believing in scapegoats, you're forced to come up with other explanations.
On one hand, the first thing he said, in my view, is wrong and is a very narrow way of thinking about science. I think it's very hard for the general public to understand what Peter is talking about, because it requires the viewer or listener to think about whatever subject themselves. And he almost never gives a concrete answer on how he actually feels or what he believes. It's always in the form of a question or a thought experiment, which I actually can respect. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. If you've made it this far in the video, why not subscribe? And the most important part of the clip at the end there, he is crediting Christianity for building the foundation in which allowed science to emerge, pointing to the way Christianity tells the story from the perspective of the victim rather than the victimizer, teaching followers to question scapegoating, in which I agree with the perceived outcome. But it's a very interesting perspective coming from a man that supports many public figures that use scapegoating to achieve their own outcomes. I question his Christian beliefs. Again, I'm not saying he's evil, he's just a human. Sometimes I think he uses his Christian theology and status of being Christian to manipulate people for his own gain. It just seems pretty convenient that the only way to stop the Antichrist is to make sure there is no regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence, when the person that's telling you that is the co-founder and massive stakeholder in a massive surveillance AI corporation, one that's so influential that it's changed the entire industry when it comes to weapon manufacturing and government contracts.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right?
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in
Should
this.
the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism.
I've watched countless interviews, lectures, and podcasts. I've read dozens of articles about his highly successful tech entrepreneurship, the billions he's made, the billions he's helped others make. I learned as a child his family moved from Canada to South Africa, where his father worked as a chemical engineer for a diamond mining company during apartheid. To make a very long story short, they eventually ended up in California, where Peter spent the rest of his childhood. I know about the magazine he helped publish in college, the Stanford Review, and the book Diversity Myth he co-founded with his college buddy, PayPal Mafia alumni, David Sachs. I could make a whole video about this dude. Another interesting character worthy of a video. After graduating from Stanford, he went on to be a law clerk for Judge James Larry Anderson, and then quit pretty abruptly like many other jobs that were to come. He would then work as a securities lawyer in New York at a prestigious law firm, then as a derivatives trader at the credit census, but that didn't last long either. Then he worked through a bunch of other odd jobs, never anything really taking. By 1996, and who can blame him, he had enough. And he moved back to California, called up daddy and friends, and said he wanted to say, fuck this, and he did. And he created his own little investment firm called Thiel Capital Management. Him now owning and being ahead of his own little investment firm, he was of course looking for lucrative ways to invest. And his main sights were set on the new growing world of technology. That same year, while Peter was running his investment firm, he made friends with a man named Max Levchin. Him and others got together and decided to found Confinity, an internet platform that would later help to revolutionize the internet, connecting your bank account with internet websites. The rivalry with Elon's X.com, how they fought for competition, even paying users to use their services, being one of the first to use the grow over everything strategy in Silicon Valley, eventually merging together, creating PayPal, and selling to eBay, where Thiel became very wealthy. Thiel lent money to Elon when things were getting rough with SpaceX. Of course, Elon denies that he needed help, but Peter was there to invest at just the right time. Peter was the first outside investor in Facebook, helping bring Mark Zuckerberg to power, and how he was the first big donor to Donald's first presidential campaign. And there's so much more. J.D. Vance, the alleged ties to Epstein that's recently emerged, and so on. It's arguable that Silicon Valley and therefore the world would look different without Peter Thiel. He's a man more powerful than his money. He has political pull. Tech billionaires care what he thinks, as do many others. He's like Casey Neistat back in the day, but for billionaires.
We kill people based on metadata. But that's not what we do with this metadata. Okay?
Thankfully.
Wow, I was working up a sweat there for a second.
I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. Since 1920, expanding the vote had made true capitalist democracy into an oxymoron.
Some people think that the corporations or the ones behind them are going to act out of kindness and morality, and maybe there's a few here and there that do. But the truth is, if you want fairness for kids coming up, or the person with the new idea, you need to force their fair share. They use the roads, they use the systems, they use the internet, they take the taxpayer money. Some corporations, including Peter's, rely on taxpayer money. I find this line of thinking disgusting. In the time after the New Deal, after the Great Depression, was some of the best times in wealth, growth, and the economy for both the CEOs and corporations, the government, and the workers. It was a time that the average worker's pay went up at a similar rate to the most well-paid CEO. It's a time he loves to talk about, but never mentions the tax rate of the richest. A tax that was not meant to attack the rich and elite, but to incentivize them to not hold their wealth, to reinvest their business in the communities and in the country. and create jobs and infrastructure. Palantir is a company that heavily relies on taxpayer money. A company that Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Stephen Cole, Joe Lonsdale, and Nathan Giddings founded, and sells specialized AI software directly to the world's most powerful corporations, governments, militaries, intelligence agencies, and more. You can think of Palantir sort of like Google, Apple, or Microsoft. It's a corporation that makes other softwares. One of the software's names is Gotham, because of course it is. And Gotham is a software that's used by intelligence agencies to track individuals and take little bits of data from different sources like social media or the DOJ or any of the numerous government agencies and put it all into one place so any person at any of those places can see all the data together, making it easy to understand who someone is from all angles. You gotta understand that Palantir is the company, and that company makes many products. Thiel once told a room of students that America had already become a technocracy ran by bureaucrats and scientists, not voters. But his solution to the problem was not to revive democracy, but to make a parallel system next to it, full of elites, connections, universities, and powerful allies in politics. Young Peter Thiel considered himself a libertarian and still at times talks that way. He wants little regulation when it comes to his corporations. But I think what he actually means is the government treats corporations in a libertarian sort of way, but not the people. He wants corporations to have the freedom to do what they want to do without hassle from the government. I think he sees the majority of people as unworthy. He wants to pull the ladder up. Perhaps he believes only entrepreneurs and those with the means to invest should have any say in society. A libertarian in the way that he thinks the government should stay out of the way of corporation, but an autocrat for anyone getting in the way of government or the corporation. There's another word I could use to describe that. He drives me crazy because he's really smart, but I think that he purposely misinterprets things. Obviously, I don't know the guy. He is a chess master, and he has all this supposed wisdom and a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of sway with a lot of powerful people, him being a powerful person himself. He's plucked people like J.D. Vance and others out of the zeitgeist and created their power and put them into positions of power so he himself has more power. The thing I think he does get kind of right is the stagnation. Computers have gotten amazing and there's been scientific breakthroughs, but as far as like making people's lives better, it kind of hasn't. Infrastructure, especially in this country, hasn't developed the way it probably should have, or the way that you would imagine it, 20, 30 years ago. He likes to use the example of the Condor jet and how there's nothing faster than it and there's fewer flights using it. But I think his reasoning is wrong. I think regulation is part of it, but also monopoly and not allowing for development. There's lack of competition. And sure, I think that you should regulate to make sure corporations don't take advantage of people, workers, consumers, but perhaps there is too much regulation when it comes to permits and zoning laws and stuff like that. But I'm not the end all be all. I'm talking about Peter Thiel here, and I'm sick of guy. I think he is a bad actor. I think he has an agenda to protect himself, his wealth, and his power. And overall, I don't really like the guy. At the same time, I think he'd be fun to have a conversation with. I think he's a highly intelligent person, and I do think he makes points at times, which makes him all the more dangerous because he can make a lot of sense. But you got to remember something about these billionaires. Like the PayPal mafia is full of Democrats, is full of Republicans, is full of central people. A lot of them are immigrants. They are all filthy, rich, powerful people, and it's not about the political game to them. It's about the power. It's about the control. It doesn't matter. Like, it's a friggin' psyop. Like, I'm just a person on the internet talking, and Peter Thiel's just a billionaire doing lectures about the Antichrist. This is literally my 4th attempt at making a video about Peter, and it's putting my whole YouTube experience career on pause because I want to finish a video about him. I want to do some videos about like other rich people, but maybe like not quite as echelon in richness, because It's just, it brings too much in this heated environment, and I want to have fun, and I don't want to be going crazy all the time and thinking about this 24/7. I'm going to do other videos about controversial people going forward, and hopefully I continue to get better at it, and let me know on who you would like me to cover. I have a whole list of dudes, and you can probably guess who I'd like to cover eventually, but I also want to cover maybe some positive people. Like, I would love get Peter really honest somehow, like get him a barbiturate or something and get him talking very honest about himself and everything that he truly thinks, and have a psychiatrist there talking to him, and then have the psychiatrist give his presentation back to us of what he thinks. That would be very interesting. And I would love to know what you all think. Is Peter the Antichrist? Is Herman Yarvin or whatever the Antichrist? Is David Sachs? Do you even believe in an Antichrist? I kind of don't, but I do believe in evil, and I believe good people or people with good intentions can do evil things. We live in a colored world, not in a black and white world. There's many sides to every issues and many ways to look at them. There are no right answers, but there are kind answers and unkind answers when talking about subjects like Peter Thiel and what he influences and what he represents, because he does have real power. I'll either see you in the next video, I'll see you in the next life, but hopefully in the next video. It's Thiel. His last name is Thiel. It's not a color, is it?